What's up, Internet? My name is Michael Cook, this is Blue Giant Media, and we're here to connect through gaming. Today we're going to take a look at Merlin. This is going to be basically a complete overview of everything that's been released to date. This is the base game, this is the Arthur expansion, this is Queenie 1 and Queenie 2, this is Arthur Knights of the Round, Merlin Knights of the Round Table. So we're going to be talking about kind of the overall mechanics. I'll try and talk about what's different between each of them, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to let you know what I do like, what I don't like, and who may or may not like Merlin. Alright, so I went ahead and I've got the game set up for 2 players. This is using everything that's out currently. We've got the base set, we've got the Arthur expansion, we have the Knights of the Round Table expansion, we've got Queenie 1, Queenie 2. So to set the game up, you're going to be given one of these. It's going to tell you here this player is going to start on brown. They're going to get an orange shield, a purple cube, and influence in the blue region. Each player gets one of those types of things that tells them how they're going to start, and 4 quest cards and some basic resources, and then they're ready to go. The way each round is going to go is players are going to roll their dice simultaneously, and then I like to put my dice in the tower here, and then as I spend them I move them back to where they came from. Some people like to do it the other way, I guess, but I don't think it really matters that much as long as you're consistent. But what you're going to be doing is, starting with the first player, you're going to alternate using the dice to move around. So with the base game, you've got this rondelle, just a single rondelle. The Arthur expansion adds the second rondelle on the inside with a couple more things that you can do. I think only one space actually gets removed, and that's this one right here, which allows you to swap 2 of your cards for some of the quest cards that are out there. That's the only space that actually goes away. It also replaces 2 of the different kinds of flags, and yeah, so you're going to be spending your dice to move. Your colored dice are going to move your colored pawn, who is your knight. The black die is going to move the black pawn, which is King Arthur. The white die is going to move the white pawn, which is Merlin. So obviously the black die is part of the Arthur expansion. So if you don't have the Arthur expansion, you're not going to have a black die, you're not going to have a black pawn. Your colored dice only allow your pawn to move clockwise around the circle. So I could use my 5, 6, or 6 to move 5 or 6 spaces, and you jump over. So it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you got to make sure you pay attention to that. You cannot have 2 people occupying the same space. But I could use this orange flag to, after I move, I can ignore the space that I land on and use a space that one of my opponent's knights is currently on, as if I was on that space. So the flags basically then give you ways to break the rules. This one lets you flip a die over, so 1 becomes 6, 2 becomes 5, etc. This one right here allows you to move counterclockwise around the circle. This one right here allows you to use your player dice as either Merlin dice or Arthur dice, and vice versa. The one that replaced allowed you to swap a quest card from... swap quest cards out. No, it allowed you to complete 2 quests on the same turn, and then you could get 2 bonus points for that, which is pretty good. It also, Arthur replaced this flag. In the base set, it allowed you to defeat all the traitors of a single color, so if you had 2 on the same stack, then it was especially useful. This one lets you increase or decrease a die roll by 1, meaning you can actually go all the way down to 0 and stay in the exact same spot and do that again, which can be really useful because if you're moving clockwise around the circle, it could be a long time before you make it back to that space again. Or you can make it 7, which allows you to move pretty far. The brown flag over there allows you to shoot across the circle. So you would move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then go across the circle. And you're supposed to move and then cross, because otherwise I would go across and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's a different space. So that's what the flags are going to be doing. Now, how are you going to get those flags? Whenever you land in a principality, then you get to interact with that principality's, well, I guess when you land on the principality space, the colored space, you're going to get to interact with that principality. And when you interact, then you're going to place one of these 4 different henchmen pawn pieces out into that principality, and each one does something different. The Lady in Waiting will allow you to put influence into that region, and influence, if you have the most in each of the principalities, you're going to score points in the second, fourth, and sixth round when you do scoring, based off of how much there is. So here you would split 1 and 1 point. If I had the lead there, I have the most, and there's 3 total, that'd be 3 points. So you score points based off of how many are there and if you are in the lead in that region. The flag bearer is going to let you take the flag of that color. The shield bearer will let you take the shield of that color. And the builder, and I've flipped these around, the builder is going to let you take a building material of that color. So those are how you're going to get all of those different things. You'll notice the decrees. This is part of Queenie 2. That makes it so whenever you land on one of these spaces, then you can choose to put any henchman you want there, and instead of taking that corresponding action, you take one of the decree things instead. Some of them are worth points. Some of them are going to give you flags from other regions, building resources from other regions. So it can be a way to, like, maybe you don't need anything from that principality, but you wanted to get something and you wanted to move those people out there because maybe you wanted to satisfy a quest by having a specific, let's see, like this one wants to have the builder in the brown region. So I could take an action, move here, use my flag so that I get to use the action of where he is, and then I could take my builder, put him out there so that I can complete this quest, but maybe I don't need any of the brown materials, so then I just go ahead and take a decree instead. So they give you something random, but in addition to that, they also allow you can turn in, so after you get it, take the benefit, you set it to the side, and then you can turn them in at any time. If you turn in 1, you can increase or decrease the die roll by 1. If you turn in 2, you can take any shield, building resource, put influence out in any principality, or take any flag. So that can be pretty useful. And if you turn in 3, then you take 5 points. So those are all pretty nice things, in addition to the possibility of getting something from somewhere that's further around the circle that you might not need. It might not be or not that you might need. So you can't really count on getting exactly what you want, but if you don't want anything in that principality anyway, it's especially nice. So then other things that you can do, apples are worth 1 point at the end of the game, but you can spend them to turn a die to any face. You can use the white and black die instead of just moving clockwise. These also have the ability to move counterclockwise. So I have a 1 here, I can move Merlin 1 space forward or 1 space back. And when you move Merlin, you have the option to use Merlin's staff to do that action twice. However, if you hang on to the staff at the end of the game, you'll get 2 points. So you have to decide whether it's worth 2 points to get to take that action twice. I think usually it is. So then King Arthur also can move. So if I have this 3 here, I can either go 1, 2, 3 and take the Grail, or 1, 2, 3 and take any building resource, building material that I want from any of the principalities. If I take the Grail, what that is going to do is come with an apple, and then I mentioned scoring your influence tokens in the different principalities. This can be a tiebreaker. So if we had this, I can go ahead during the scoring round and place that there and say, I'm going to get the 2 points. I'm going to break the tie with the Grail. Other things you'll see out here, the Xcalibur is also in the base game. These two are in the base game as well. The Xcalibur, whenever you take it, you get to defeat one of the traitors that's in front of you. You get to just move it off, which is, if you don't defeat the traitors or have yourself protected by the traitors in scoring rounds 2, 4, and 6, then you will lose 3 points. So you take Xcalibur, you defeat one of your traitors, and if you still possess Xcalibur during the end of 2, 4, 6 for the scoring rounds, then you are going to, and you have protected or fended off all of the different traitors, then you also get an additional 3 points. So this could be a swing of 6 points, which is a lot. The Signet Ring is something that is introduced in the Arthur expansion. Whenever you take this, it allows you to instantly complete a quest, which you can normally only complete 1 quest per round. This allows you to complete a quest ignoring the costs, or the requirement. So I could say, hey, I finished this, I'm going to take the 3 points, even if I don't have what's on there. And then if I still satisfy one of the other conditions, I can go ahead and take finish that quest as well. So Signet Ring can be pretty nice, letting you complete quests for free and just being able to complete extra quests. So completing quests, like I said, you can only complete one per turn. So I mean, I can complete 5 in a single round, but I gotta be working things pretty well to get that to happen. But whenever you complete a quest, if you choose to use this module from the base box, you can look. This is a lady in waiting, so I look over in her column. It is a level 2 quest, so I could either take the 2 points or I can take an ability that's unlocked by level 1 or 2. So if I do that, I'm going to take one of these seals. All the level 1 abilities give you a bonus point whenever you complete a quest with that henchman on them for the rest of the game. So I could, you lose 2 points now, but if I finish 5 of these by the end of the game, I've made 3 extra points by doing this. If you go here, it allows you to, whenever you land in a location and you choose to use that henchman, instead of placing them where you are, you can place them in any of the different principalities, which can be really useful because maybe you wanted to get a purple influence out, but you're here and it's going to take you forever because you don't have a blue flag, and Merlin's all the way over there, and it allows you to get around the circle quicker. It's whatever word works there. So that pretty well covers most of it. One key thing here is building. Whenever you go on one of these building spaces, you're going to pay a building resource, which is going to bring you over here to the environs. If I have a blue resource, I can build on any of the spaces that is branching off from this space. So I'm going to take one of my manors and I'm going to put it on any of those spaces. Now, where I put it is going to give me different benefit. The base game does not have, it has a lot of plain landscapes, so it'll have just like green with forest on them but nothing on it. Those are replaced by these queenie tiles, so you could end up putting your manor on something that does nothing, but maybe just, maybe it's worth a lot of points, because at the end of each 2, 4, and 6, you will look at the region. So here's a region of 4. Whoever has the most manors in there will get 4 points, and if you tie, you split it. So maybe you might have wanted to put it on a space that doesn't do anything, but maybe it gives you control in an area. Now, with the Queenie, number 1, you have all of them are going to do something nice for you. The base ones here that come in the base game, these towers, let you take put influence into any region, take any flag, or take any shield. But then we have the ability to get another Merlin staff. You have the ability to get a point and an apple, take Xcalibur, take the Holy Grail, look in a region where you've got influence and take flag and cube, things like that. So a lot of interesting things, and at the end of the scoring round in the base game, you leave all the manors out there. In the Arthur, if you have Arthur involved in later, and I think it really kind of should be, but especially I like it with the Queenie. If I, for instance, had 2 of them in this region, because maybe someone else had gone there and I wanted to reclaim the lead, then I have to remove down to having 1 in that region. That's part of the scoring thing. So we got Queenie 1, we've got Queenie 2, we've talked about movement, we've talked about the different rondels. There's other spaces here that allow you to swap resources, score points for each of the certain kind of resource that you have, put a henchman wherever you've got influence, all kinds of different things like that. Move things around, move Arthur from the outer rondel, move Merlin from the inner rondel. But there's also now in Arthur, there's an expansion bit right here with the pikes. The pikes give you a way to get resources and different things. So if you land on one of those, you can take any of these. This one right here allows you to put a manor out on any green space. This one gives you an apple. These give you shields. But they also have a number on them, and that is because at the end of round 2, 4, and 6 for scoring, you're going to look, and whoever has the highest added number of all of their pikes is going to basically have the best working relationship with them and get 3 additional points, and whoever has the lowest reputation with them is going to lose 3 points. And that's true even in a 2-player game, so pretty big swing. The ones with lower numbers give you nicer benefits, but the ones with higher numbers are going to prevent you from losing 3 points and possibly get you 3 points. So pretty nice. The last expansion is the Knights of the Round Table expansion. And for that, these are labeled A and B on the back. Half of them in the expansion are A and half of them are B. What you're going to do at the beginning is you're going to draft them, starting with the first player getting the A's and the last player in turn order getting the B's, and then take one, pass to the second player and the second to last player, and then take one, pass, take one, pass. So they kind of work around the circle, and you're going to end up with one A and one B. They do all kinds of interesting things. This one right here says whenever you take one of these actions, like this says you score 1 point for each principality that you've got, or influence that you've got out on the board. Then whenever you take each of those actions, this one's for influence. I flip it over to show that I've taken that one, and I get a bonus point. There's one of those for your influence, your building materials, your flags, your shields, and how many manners you have out. And then at the end of the game, depending on how many of those spaces you've gone to, you're going to get some bonus points. Sir Lancelot makes it so anytime I land in the region where I started, because that's where the marshal goes, I get to take a double action. So if I put out the shield bearer, I can take 2 shields, or I can, send 2 different people out there and get 2 different things. So lets me be doubly effective in my home region. Over here we've got Sir Kay, which whenever he lands there in one of the principalities and takes a lady-in-waiting influence action, you can put this out there, which kind of acts like the Grail, just gives you extra control of that area. I think that one is pretty weak. Sir Galahad makes it so whenever you are in an area and you put out one of your henchmen, instead of interacting with where they are, you get to do that in any of the principalities if you discard one of these tokens. I guess it doesn't work for influence. It works for all the other ones though. So if you go here and you wanted to get a flag, you can discard one of your tokens, and instead of taking the flag from here, you can take any of the other flags. But that can only be done 6 times per game. So they give you kind of an extra bonus that can be used. Some of them I think are better than others. Some of them are weaker than others. I think that that's a little bit of an issue, but I'll get into more of that later. Overall, I think that's going to be pretty much everything in the game. You score at the end of 2, 4, and 6, as I've said many times. At the end of the very last, so other things you'll score for. So you'll score for the pikes, comparing most and least. You will deal with your traders, and if you have Xcalibur, you'll get bonus points. So you'll either lose 3 points for each one that gets through your defenses, or prevent them, prevent losing the 3 points. You'll get 3 new traders. You'll score for area control over here. You will compare all of the different influence, which basically is area control as well. And then you will score for each of your henchmen that are out on the board. So as the game goes on, you're going to be completing all kinds of different quests and it's important to note that this means you have to possess these shields. You don't actually turn them in. You just have to possess what is shown on these. So really important there. And at the end of the 6th round, whoever has the most points is going to be the winner. All right, so now that you have a pretty good idea of how to play Merlin and all of its different components and modules and expansions, I want to let you know what I like about the game. First off, this game is awesome. I really, really enjoy this game quite a bit. I know it doesn't get a lot of love, but this is my number 2 Feld behind Castles of Burgundy. I love the puzzly aspect of it. I love being able to roll the dice and choose what I want to do with them. I don't like games where you decide what you want to do and roll dice and see if it's succeeded, but I do really enjoy the opposite, where you roll the dice and then you get to see what's the best decision that you can make with what's at your disposal. I love all the different ways to mitigate with the flags. I love how you can choose whether you want to work with the environs, whether you want to work with all the different quests, whether you want to just... There's so many different ways you can go about doing things. You can collect resources and then just try and hit those spots on the board where you get points based off of how many building resources you have or how many flags you have. Just so many different ways to score points, and I really, really enjoy that. So that is a big plus for me. Second thing that I really enjoy, I'm going to let you know a couple of the expansions that I think are really, really important, and I think one of those is going to be, I really think Queenie 1 is really important, because I don't, if you just have the plain environs down at the bottom without all the interesting stuff that you can do, it's bland. You only have a couple places that you actually can do something with, and other than that, it's only a couple points every other round. making it so that you can kind of put 2 and 2 together. You not only get a little bit of the area control points, but you also get a little bit of the just the benefit of putting your mana down. I think that's really important. I think it makes the environs more valid, more viable, more fun. So I think that's really important. And Queenie 2, while it's not like essential, I really enjoy it. It's kind of fun to see what you're going to get. It's especially fun. I don't like push your luck, but I like when choosing something that could be considered a little bit of like a push your luck aspect is actually can be a strategic choice, because maybe you don't need anything from that principality. Okay, grab that. Maybe it gives you something you need. Maybe it gives you points, but at the very least, now you get a resource which could or could not be helpful, maybe more or less so, but hopefully not less so than what you would have chosen anyway. But now you have something to do with those decrees. You can go ahead and turn them into, modify your dice even further to get the resources that you do want. So now in effect you've gotten more resources. Instead of getting just 2 resources, you've gotten 2 of those decrees and what comes with them, and then you can turn them in for a third. So maybe you got something that might not have been as beneficial, but then you got 3 total resources which you can work with, or save until you have 3 of them and turn them in for 5 points, which is a lot of points. So I really enjoy the decrees. I think that if you can find either of those Queenies on Queen Games website or some other places that you might be able to find it, I would highly recommend grabbing them because they're a lot of fun. I personally really enjoy the Arthur expansion because I like having more things to work with. I have more different ways that I can move, more dice that I can manipulate, more choices to make, more to try and decide, okay, well, I want to kind of leave Arthur there because hopefully my opponent moves him first so that then I can do something different, because neither of the choices I have right now are really that great. I like being that's one of the few ways that you can kind of interact directly, although Queenie 1 also gives you a way to interact directly by basically stealing resources. But I think Arthur is great. The Pikes, though, well, I'll get to that in the things that I don't like. Knights of the Round Table. I really like giving you a little bit of a special ability. It just gives you more mitigation, gives you a little bit more direction, gives you a little bit more of a personal strategy. All of them are really good, basically is what I'm saying. I really enjoy every aspect of every bit of Merlin and its expansions. Super fun, lots of puzzly things, lots of choices to make, a lot of fun. I'm gonna get off that and move on to the things that I don't like. The base game, I already mentioned a little bit. I think the environs are too bland. There's not really a lot to do with that. Other than that, I still thoroughly enjoyed the game. Queenie 1, no complaints. Queenie 2, no complaints. Arthur, the Pikes. I wish there were more ways to interact with them, because when you literally have only 2 chances to use Arthur between each scoring round, and you lose the Pikes after each scoring round, it makes it so you either use Arthur for that and only that, or you do some of the other things which are way more interesting, I think. Like getting Xcalibur is always going to be better than getting the Pikes, in my opinion, because now you don't need to worry about that shield, which saves you 3 points, and if you possess it and protect yourself from all the traitors, now you've got 6 points basically from that, which is going to be more beneficial than any of the Pikes. So I don't see that being as strong as it could have been. I really enjoy the benefits that you get from them. I like, some of those are really nice, but if you could aggregate them through the game, maybe that would be interesting, but then I could see how there'd be a runaway leader. I don't know. It just doesn't quite click to me. I still enjoy it, but it just feels kind of like it's thrown on top to me. Other things that I don't like, in the Knights of the Round Table expansion, some of them are just better than others. There are some, like I think it's Sir Kay, I believe it was, who all you do, it's not even as good as the Grail, which the Grail is kind of weak. I guess the Grail is weaker than it should be. It should be worth points outright and then also allow you to break ties or something like that. So the Grail and Sir Kay aren't as strong as they could be. But yeah, some of the Knights, they're just better than others. They're just more effective. Lancelot, okay, cool, you can interact with that principality twice. Well, that might only come into play a couple times through the whole game. So there's some that are really, really useful, and there's some that are just like, whatever. I like that you get to draft them. I think that's important. But so yeah, I feel like some of those knights you're never, ever going to choose them. All right, and then the art, I guess that's something that's just really middling for me, and the theme is really middling for me. So let's move on to things that people may like about this game. If you like puzzly games where you have lots of different decisions and it's simple, all you're doing is choosing how to allocate this die, or which die you want to allocate and how. There's just so many options, and if you like that kind of game where there's so many different things you can do, this is going to scratch that itch big time. It is so much fun trying to puzzle what you want to do with all of those different options. If you like, I guess, medieval themes, this is a theme that hasn't really been played on very much. I know Tainted Grail is coming out soon, and I'm looking forward to that one. But there's not really a whole lot of stuff that's playing on English mythology. There's a lot of Norse mythology, Egyptian mythology, Greek mythology. There's not a lot of stuff that's based off of, English. There's not a lot of stuff that's based off of King Arthur, so it's a little bit of a different theme. I think you can already get an idea of who's going to like things based off a lot of things that I've said that I like about the game. Things that you may not like about the game. If you have analysis paralysis, you are going to struggle mightily with this game because there are just too many options for some people to handle, and I understand that. That overall can make the game length a little bit long too. I think that what it says on the box is not accurate. It plays longer. It also takes a long time to set up. So if you don't like games that take a lot of setup time, which that's I guess that's a bit of a negative for me as well. It takes a long time to set up. So when I know I want to play Merlin, I usually just set it up ahead of time, and then that way I can say, hey, do you want to play a game? So we can jump right in and play it, rather than, hey, do you want to play a game? And then take 20 minutes to set the game up and then start playing, because then by then maybe some people have lost their interest. So long time to set up, a lot of analysis paralysis, because there's a lot of different options, and ultimately the theme just might be bland and might be loosely tied, and you might not like point salad games. So if you think that just doing a little bit every turn is not really fun for you, if you think that rolling those dice and allocating them and just moving around in a circle doesn't really feel like you're a knight of the round table and that bothers you, maybe not your game. Overall though, I'm just going to say I really like this game, highly recommend it. I think it doesn't get as much love as it should, and you should go play Merlin, in my opinion. And that's Merlin by Stefan Feld and Michael Reineck, published by Queen Games, and all of its many different expansions and modules and promos. If you want to know more about Merlin and the expansions and such, you can take a look in the description section below, where you can find a link to my setup and playthrough, which has got a lot of stuff in there because I set up each individual aspect and talk about each individual combination of different modules and all that good stuff. And you can also find an unboxing of the Knights of the Round Table. And if you want to know where to buy such games, you can take a look at the link in the description section to macronovagames.com. Until next time, I want to thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe if you like what you see, and let me know in the comment section below if you have any feedback, requests, comments, corrections, and as always, have a wonderful day.